Hi, it's Katrina. From little children finding ancient bones to entire mass graves, here are 9 creepy archaeological discoveries made by accident. Number 9. Tens of thousands of bodies. London is a city steeped in history, with layers upon layers of past buildings and artifacts sitting beneath the ground that people walk on every day without a second thought. That is, until a new discovery is made. In 2018, construction was set to begin near Euston train station to make room for the construction of a new high-speed rail line. A mandatory archaeological survey revealed a shocking discovery. There were around 40,000 bodies in a 118,000 square foot area. Senior osteologist Mike Henderson said that it was likely the largest ever archaeological excavation of bodies ever undertaken in the country. Situated beneath St. James Gardens, the sprawling property served as a cemetery between 1788 and 1853. Many of the graves contained remarkably well-preserved coffins and bodies, thanks to the large amount of clay in the ground, which prevented water damage. Discoveries like this help researchers learn more about daily life during one of London's most significant historical periods, according to Henderson, who explained that having such a large data set to glean information from could be important when it comes to things like mortality rates and diseases of the time. The team found evidence of tuberculosis, broken bones, and other traumatic injuries, and dental procedures, including dentures and surgeries like skulls with saw marks. 2020 may have been bad, but you do not want surgery in the 1800s. As with many large construction projects, the rail project proved controversial because it required the demolition of hundreds of homes, but it proved valuable for archaeology and history. Number 8. Pregnant mummy. Researchers were taking a look at an Egyptian sarcophagus with inscriptions suggesting that there was a male priest inside. However, when they scanned the mummy, they got quite the shock. It wasn't a man at all, but a pregnant woman. It is the first discovery of a mummified pregnant woman ever, with even her soft tissue still preserved. The team of archaeologists examined it as part of the Warsaw Mummy Project. They were looking for signs of ancient diseases and causes of death when they discovered that the person described on the coffin was someone entirely different than who it contained. Donated to the University of Warsaw in 1826, the mummy somehow evaded close investigation until recently, when the researchers performed X-ray and CT scans of what they thought were the remains of a priest named Hor Jehuti from ancient Thebes. This was most certainly not him. Measurements of the fetus's head suggest that the woman was between 6.5 and 7.5 months pregnant when she died, between the ages of 20 and 30 years old during the 1st century BC. The mummy's abdominal cavity is filled with 4 bundles that likely contain her lungs, liver, stomach, intestine, and heart, which were extracted, embalmed, and put back inside her according to ancient Egyptian burial customs. But the fetus was still in her womb, untouched, leading the team to believe that the culture saw unborn babies as part of their mother, rather than as individuals deserving of their own afterlives. The quality of the embalming indicates that she was of a high social status. While it's unknown why the mummy was inside a man's coffin, mismatches like this are known to happen, and likely resulted from looting and illegal excavations. Damage to the woman's neck suggests that grave robbers yanked valuable jewelry and amulets before selling her to someone. The cause of death is unknown, but it was common for women to die during pregnancy and childbirth during ancient times, indicating that her pregnancy likely played a role. The team is going to analyze small samples of blood to see if they can find out more. Number 7. Beheaded Earls ring. While searching for treasure late last year on the Isle of Man, a small island situated between Ireland and Great Britain, metal detectorist Lee Morgan found a 370-year-old gold and crystal ring bearing the letters JD or ID. Dating back to the late 1600s, this slender Stuart period ring may have been crafted in honor of an earl who lived and died during the English Civil War. If the letters are JD, the jewelry was perhaps the property of James Stanley, 7th Earl of Derby and Lord of Man, who signed his name as James Derby, hence the initials. The ring's high quality is a good indicator that it was created for someone wealthy, according to Alison Fox, curator of archaeology at Manx National Heritage. Stanley's widow, Charlotte, likely had it made in his honor. Also known as Baron Strange and the Great Earl of Derby, James Stanley was a royalist who supported King Charles I, an authoritarian monarch who ruled over England, Scotland, and Ireland from 1625 to 1649. The king's tyrannical ways did not vibe well with English Parliament, and in 1642 the animosity between the two erupted into the English Civil War. Charles I's reign ended with his execution. James Stanley was executed 2 years later in 1651. A plaque stands in his honor today in the town of Bolton in Manchester, near the site where he was put to death. Although Morgan was seeking treasure when he found the ring, actually finding it is rare, making it a surprising discovery. And while the ring itself may not be that creepy, knowing it might have commemorated a decapitated Earl certainly adds eerie overtones to it. Would you wear it? Let me know in the comments below. Number 6. Ancient Burial Mound. In 2006, a group of kindergartners scared adults half to death when they started pulling up human bones and playing with them. They were on their school playground in France when they unintentionally dug up bits of human bone. A closer look by experts revealed that the school was built on top of a large ancient burial mound dating back thousands of years. But nobody knew just how old the human remains were until a 2019 study of the burial mound determined that the site is much older than originally thought. The oldest remains date back 5,600 years, and the dead were placed there for a 2,000-year period, starting in 3600 BC during the late Neolithic era and ending during the Iron Age, around 1250 BC. A team of archaeologists excavated at least 30 bodies, including 20 adults and 10 children, who were buried just 1.6 feet in the ground. They also unearthed a plethora of grave goods, including broken ceramics, metal, and animal bones. While the researchers made some headway in determining how old the site is and how long it was used for, they failed to figure out why it was a chosen burial site for the prehistoric local population. As lead study author Hannah James said in a statement, "It's not particularly prestigious or significant in any way. It's not located on a hill or any other obvious location, yet people return to it time and time again to lay their dead to rest." The people buried at the site are also a mystery to experts, who determined through dental analysis that most of the dead were locals, and that they sourced their food from the land rather than by fishing in a nearby river or in the Atlantic Ocean. Number 5. Skull Ring. While metal detecting in Wales, David Balfour encountered a gold ring decorated with a skull made from white enamel, with the surrounding inscription "Memento Mori," a Latin phrase that translates to "remember that you have to die." This ring would probably still be popular today. South Wales Central Senior Coroner officially classified this spooky jewelry as treasure, a designation that makes them the property of the UK government. Based on its style, shape, and script, the ring was likely crafted between 1550 and 1650, during either the Tudor or early Stuart periods, according to Mark Redknapp of the National Museum of Wales, who said in a statement that the rare piece symbolizes the high mortality of the time, as well as the vanity and brevity of life. It likely belonged to an elite member of society. The Memento Mori theme was common in artwork at certain points in history. While these types of artifacts tend to strike us as morbid, they were more or less intended as an optimistic reminder to make the most of one's fragile and short time on Earth. You know, seize the day and all that. The ring was examined along with a trove of other recently discovered, less creepy Welsh artifacts, including 3 hoards of gold and silver coins, gold and silver jewelry, and personal accessories dating back between the 9th and 17th centuries. Number 4. Backyard Burials. While digging a drainage hole for a patio being built in a family's backyard in the village of Heytesbury, England recently, a work crew stumbled upon human remains. Robbie Kearney, the builder who made the discovery, initially thought he had found some animal bones, but when he dug deeper and found a human skull, he and his co-workers immediately stopped what they were doing and notified the property owner of their gruesome discovery. Homeowners Matthew and Amelia Jackson called the police, who dispatched a crime scene crew, including forensic officers and an archaeologist, to the site. In an interview with The Mirror, Mr. Jackson said that the experts determined that the skeletons are not likely to be recent, and that they possibly date back to the 5th century during the early medieval period. Found just 300 feet from the 12th century church of St. Peter and St. Paul, the bones are probably from a plague pit, one of many that are rumored to be in the town, according to the local historian. Sam Fox of Wiltshire Council explained that the graves appeared to be Christian and contained the remains of both females and males of varying ages. The bones were sent away for radiocarbon dating to determine their precise age. After that, they will be respectfully reburied. Number 3. Ancient child's toys. Some of the oldest toys known to exist in the world were discovered in 2017 in the Republic of Khakassia in southern Siberia. Found in the grave of a child from the prehistoric Okunev culture at the Itkol II burial grounds, the finds included the heads of an ancient doll and a figurine of an unidentified creature resembling a horse. Dating back roughly 4,500 years, the toys' bodies were made from organic material which wore away before they were unearthed. Measuring just 2 inches high and carved from a soft talc-based rock called soapstone, the doll head contains what archaeologist Andrei Polikov described as carefully worked out facial features. The animal head was carved from antler or horn, and it's unclear what creature it represents. Archaeologists are unsure what the toy's specific purpose was, but clarified that the artifacts came from the grave of a commoner rather than a child from an elite background. Other Okunev toys have been found in the past, including a figurine of a pagan god and ghoulish figurines that doubled as rattles, making them the oldest known baby rattles ever found. Thought to have ancient links with Native Americans, the Okunev culture's presence in Siberia dates back to the 2nd millennium BC. It's believed that the ancestors of the diverse and artistically rich group were among the travelers who crossed into North America via the Bering Land Bridge around 12,600 years ago. Evidence suggests that the Okunev originally came north to Siberia from what is now Kazakhstan, further suggesting that Native Americans could have genetic roots in that region. Number 2. Deformed alien skulls. During the Roman collapse in the 5th century, the empire swiftly abandoned its Pannonian territories in what is now Western Hungary as the conquering Huns invaded Central Europe. Meanwhile, foreign groups went to Pannonia seeking refuge and joined the local Romanized settlements. These rapidly changing population dynamics resulted in a cultural shift that modern experts are still trying to fully understand. Since 1961, dozens of deformed skulls have been unearthed at an ancient graveyard in Motytse-Dulo. Out of 96 burials, 51 bore evidence of a practice called skull binding, which involves artificially stretching a person's head by tightly wrapping it during childhood, permanently altering it to resemble what some liken to an alien-like appearance. Dating back to the Paleolithic era, this tradition of extreme body modification spread across Central Asia during the 2nd century BC and into Europe shortly thereafter, according to lead study author. The graves at this place represent 3 distinct groups of people and span 3 generations from around 430 AD to 470 AD, when the site was abandoned. An isotope analysis of their bones revealed that some of the individuals from later burials were from the immediate area and had lived there under the Romans, while others migrated there after being displaced from other regions. While these groups had noticeably different burial customs, all 3 practiced skull binding, reflecting its spread across cultures. They used different skull binding techniques, further suggesting that it was one of several cultural practices that were exchanged between the groups as they adjusted to living in a shared community. Did you know that there were these types of skulls in Hungary? Number 1. Mass grave of children. In mid-2020, workers in southeastern Poland dug up human bones while working on a roadway and summoned a team of archaeologists who made what they described as a frightening discovery of a mass 17th century burial of at least 119 graves belonging mostly to children. Found in the village of Jehove, the youths were buried with coins in their mouths as part of a pre-Christian tradition called Obols of the Dead, or Charon's Obol, which lasted well into Christian times. The coins were placed in the mouths of the dead as payments to Charon, the mythical ferryman who carried the souls of the newly deceased across a river separating the land of the living from the land of the dead. Some of the coins date back to the reign of Sigismund III Vasa, who was king of Poland from 1587 to 1632. Other coins were minted between 1648 and 1668 during the reign of John II Casimir. The absence of grave goods indicates that the deceased came from a very poor community. Olesek said that based on the arrangement of the burials, the cemetery is undoubtedly Catholic in nature and that the graves were well cared for. Between 70 and 80% of the individuals found were children, possibly reflecting the high child mortality rate of the time. The cemetery's presence confirms long-standing local rumors of a nearby children's graveyard. After being exhumed and studied, the remains will be reburied. Thanks for watching! Hope you enjoyed these frightening discoveries. If you want to see more videos like these, let me know in the comments below, and remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. See you next time. Bye!